We are at the end of another year, and I'm using this final episode of 2023 to reflect and invite a really interesting question. What if the mess is the way forward? Curious about what I mean by that? Then come on in. Let's get started. I can't wait to connect with you. I was on a recent coaching call with a client, and she was elbow deep in powerful, healing, messy personal writing. And she came to the call and asked for a coaching session because she felt like she was stuck in writing the book. And so this was a really interesting moment that happens often with people who are, quote, writing their book. They might be doing tons of writing, but it feels very personal. It feels very messy. And so we got really curious on this call, and I've been thinking about this, and my team and I have been talking about this, of how often we compartmentalize the messy stuff, right? The journaling or the scribbling or the ranting or the grieving that we do in our daybooks and our journals, the venting that happens, and all of that part, that messy part of just being on a writing journey or just using writing as a tool for healing or processing whatever it is that we're experiencing, and how we often compartmentalize that from writing that is polished, ready for publication, or as my client called it, forward facing, right? Or what I want to be presented in the book. And so as I sit here in the last episode of the Written Compass for 2023, I really want to dive into the idea and the question of what if the mess is the way forward? What if the mess is the way forward with your writing, your publishing goals, life? And I really want you to, ideally, if you can listen to this and write as I am sharing, that would be a really cool way to kind of get connected to this and see what shows up. And of course, I always want to hear your thoughts as you do so. So when I think back on this entire year, I was on a very interesting journey, a very big transition in life, in business, and the core thing that tied it all together is it was messy. It was not linear. It was not straightforward. There was no A to B straight line through any of it. And so when I start to think about, using the analogy of writing to publish and write a book, and we think that has to be this very presentable version of ourselves and our ideas and whatnot. And while, of course, we want our readers to be able to read our writing, we're not talking about like grammar and spelling and whatnot right here. What we're talking about is oftentimes the mess is exactly what someone else is experiencing. And we need to hear that more often. We need to hear that story, that process, what that is like. We need to normalize it, for lack of a better word, more and more. So when I reflect back on this year, nothing was straightforward. It was messy as heck. There were tons of highs and equally tons of lows. My writing was going right along with that. I've been working on a book for over a year now. It doesn't exist in the world yet, and that is okay. It's been messy. It has shifted. It started off one direction and it went to another direction. And then just the other day, I had more clarity on it. And you can hear the breathlessness in my voice as I kind of talk through that. But here's the deal. It all counts. It was all necessary. And so if it was necessary as a part of my journey, or the mess is a part of our journey, then why do we compartmentalize it and kind of turn away from it and say, oh, that's this thing that I'm doing over here, and it has nothing to do with, as my client called it, the forward-facing stuff. It's like, no, like we really, what is it? What would it feel like to say, this is me, the forward-facing stuff, the messy stuff around me, like it is all a part of our journey. And it is all okay to share as you see fit, of course, honoring your boundaries and all that good stuff. I'm not telling people to share what they don't want to share in their lives. But the good stuff is, and here's what happened with this client, we wound up saying like, hey, what if you just honor this messy, quote, messy writing that you're doing right now? And then just in a week, ping us and let us give it a read. Don't share anything you don't want to share. Mark it as do not read, those parts. And she did it the other day, and we were flabbergasted. Cindy and I, who co-coach together here with our clients, we were like, holy cow, this is amazing. This is the book. And so it's so funny, the things that we think are messy and not what people want to see and not our best foot forward. It's actually the thing that draws people in. It's actually the gold. It's actually the most amazing part about you. It's actually your gift. It's actually what you were intended to share. And so what if the mess is the way forward? I just really want to carry that as we wrap up the end of this year and head into a new year. What if the mess is the way forward? What if it's all messy? What if it's never polished in any kind of sense of what we have historically up until now, the stories we've told ourselves of what, quote, polished needs to be? I just get really curious, and it brings a smile to my face to kind of lean into that and really blur the lines of these polarities that we often create. This is my messy process draft writing. This is my polished, forward-facing, what I share with the world writing. And the thing is it's a both and. It's not a polarity. It's a both and. You don't get to one without the other, and vice versa. And it's this beautiful, backwards, messy, recursive process, forwards and backwards and in and around and all over the place. And I just feel like the more we can exhale into that, the more I just get curious about what gets to show up when we exhale into that. Whether it's through your writing, whether it's through your life, whether it's through whatever you're doing in your career, whatever is happening in your relationships. Like, what if you just trust yourself that the mess is the way forward? It feels messy? Great. Let's embrace that. Let's celebrate that. Something good is happening when it's messy and you don't know which end is up and you're not sure what you're saying. You're not sure what your words are saying. You don't know if anybody's going to make sense of it. Yes. More of that, please. So I'm sitting here smiling, and I'm curious what shows up as you think about the question of what if the mess is the way forward? How does that sit with you? Does that create any friction and discomfort when you think about it? And what gets to be possible when you honor the mess and you see what shows up because of it? Thank you so much for another amazing year. We have just gotten started, y'all. Just gotten started with all the amazing things to come. Just a quick reflection. We were able to publish 7 books this year. We had our first ever live in-person book launch event, and it is going to be 100 times grander and better in 2024. We published an amazing collaborative book. We supported well over 20 authors in some way, shape, or form. I really could double that number if I think about our new Writing is Healing community that we created. Head over to shanahartman.com/writing is healing if you want to hear about that. And we are just getting started. And I'm curious how you are just getting started and what is on deck for you. What are you leaning into? How's it going to be messy and amazing and wonderful all at the same time? So grateful for you, sending you so much love as you wrap up this year and head into a new one. As always, I want to hear from you, so don't hesitate to share this with people who you know would love it and to tell me what you thought. Tell me what showed up. Let's let it be messy and amazing. I'll see you in the next year. Thank you so much for listening to this episode of The Written Compass. If you are enjoying this content, do me a favor and go and review the podcast. This allows me to share and get these messages out to the people who really need them, who we want to read their books in the future. You can also go and share your thoughts and tag me at @ShanaHartman_ on Instagram. Again, this is just a way for us to get connected and share the writing love. And if you know that you are ready to write your book, that message that's been burning inside of you for a long time, then I want to talk to you. My team and I want to talk to you. Head on over to shanahartman.com and click Work with Us. From there, you'll see an application to explore and see if writing your book is your next best step.